Have you ever felt like you're being watched? Like a pair of painted eyes are following you around the room? Well, at the desolate Blackwood Manor, that feeling is more than just a trick of the light. This isn't just another spooky old house story. This is the tale of Lady Eleanor, or rather her portrait, which has become one of the most baffling and chilling paranormal mysteries of our time. Blackwood Manor stands on a windswept hill, its windows like hollow eyes staring out at the moors. It's been abandoned for nearly a century. But one thing remains: the portrait of Lady Eleanor Blackwood. Hung in the grand ballroom, she's a striking figure in a velvet gown, her expression unreadable, her eyes unsettling. Locals have whispered stories for generations, tales of trespassers who swear the portrait isn't just a painting. They claim it moves. At first it sounds like a classic ghost story, right? A creepy painting in a creepy house. But the claims about Lady Eleanor's portrait are oddly specific. It's never seen moving. Instead, people notice a change after they look away. One moment, she's gazing serenely to her left. You turn your back for a second, maybe to look at the dusty chandelier. And when you look back, her head is tilted slightly down, her gaze now fixed directly on you. The legend began in the 1920s, shortly after the last of the Blackwood family passed away. A group of teenagers, daring each other to spend a night in the manor, were the first to report the phenomenon. They said they left the ballroom for only a minute, and upon returning, the portrait, which had been facing left, was now looking straight ahead. They fled in terror, and their story became local folklore. For decades, it was dismissed as a campfire tale, but then, in the late 1970s, a group of university students armed with cameras and a healthy dose of skepticism decided to investigate. They set up their equipment, carefully documenting the portrait's initial position. They sat in the ballroom, keeping a constant vigil. Nothing happened. For hours, Lady Eleanor remained perfectly still. Bored and a little disappointed, they decided to take a break, leaving the room to make some coffee. They were gone for maybe 10 minutes. When they returned, their blood ran cold. The portrait had changed. Her head was now tilted, and a faint, almost imperceptible smile seemed to play on her lips. A smile that hadn't been there before. Their photographs confirmed it. The before and after shots were undeniable. There was no sign of tampering, no hidden mechanisms, no strings. The painting had moved on its own, but only when no one was there to witness it. This is where the story gets really strange, almost like a quantum physics problem. Paranormal investigators have dubbed it the observer effect, but for the supernatural. It seems Lady Eleanor's spirit, or whatever energy is tied to the painting, is camera-shy, or perhaps incredibly clever. In the early 2000s, a paranormal investigation team, you've probably heard of them, Spectral Solutions, decided to crack the case once and for all. They wired the entire ballroom with motion detectors, thermal cameras, and high-speed video recorders. Their plan was to have a continuous overlapping video feed. If one camera was blinked at or momentarily blocked, another would capture the movement. They sealed the room, leaving the equipment to run for 48 hours straight. The team gathered to review the footage, buzzing with anticipation. For 48 hours, the video showed nothing. The portrait remained static. The motion detectors were silent. The thermal imaging showed no strange cold spots. It was a complete bust. They were packing up their gear, frustrated, when one of the junior investigators, a young woman named Clara, noticed something. "Wait a second," she said, pointing to the final frame of the recording before they entered the room to retrieve the cameras. "Look at her hand." In the initial setup photos, Lady Eleanor's left hand was resting gracefully on her lap. In this final frame, one finger was slightly lifted as if pointing towards the ballroom door. They checked the footage again. Frame by frame, there was no movement. It was as if the change happened in an instant, in the blink of an eye between the frames. How is this possible? The team was stumped. The change was real, but the act of changing was completely unobservable. It defies logic. It's like the portrait exists in two states at once and only settles into a new one when it's not being watched. Some theories suggest a localized time slip, where a moment from the past briefly overlays the present. Others believe it's a powerful psychokinetic entity that can manipulate matter, but only when it isn't being directly perceived. Think about it. We rely on our senses, on our technology to define reality. But what if there are things that operate utpaden outside those rules? The portrait of Lady Eleanor challenges our very understanding of observation. It's not just a ghost in a house, it's a paradox painted on canvas. The most unnerving account came from a photographer named Marcus, who visited the manor alone in 2015. He was determined to outsmart the painting. He set up a camera on a tripod, then sat in a corner with his own eyes fixed on the portrait, refusing to blink for as long as he could. Minutes stretched into an hour. His eyes burned, tears streaming down his face, but he didn't look away. Suddenly, he heard a floorboard creak. Behind him, his survival instincts screamed at him to turn around. It was a faint sound, but in the dead silence of the manor it was deafening. He fought the urge, his heart pounding, his gaze locked on Lady Eleanor. The creak came again, closer this time. He couldn't take it. He spun around, finding nothing but an empty, dust-filled hallway. He let out a shaky breath, feeling foolish. And then he turned back to the portrait. She was no longer looking at him. Her painted head was now turned completely to the side, her gaze fixed on the very spot in the hallway where he'd heard the sound. It was as if she had been watching whatever, or whoever, was behind him. He hadn't seen the painting move, but he felt, with a certainty that chilled him to the bone, that it had moved to warn him. Or perhaps, to distract him. He packed his gear and left, never to return. The portrait of Lady Eleanor Blackwood remains in the decaying ballroom, a silent, unsolvable puzzle. Is she a guardian? A shy spirit? Or a malevolent trickster playing a game with our perception of reality? The one thing we know for sure is that you can watch the painting all you want, but you'll never see the moment it decides to look back. What do you guys think is going on at Blackwood Manor? Is it a clever hoax, a psychological phenomenon, or proof of something beyond our comprehension? Let me know your theories down in the comments. I'd love to read them. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today and exploring this incredible mystery. If you enjoyed this dive into the unexplained, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more strange stories. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next video.